This is the Rising Stars Show with Rex Wallace.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Rising Stars, our third episode. This is the show where we strive to have the most topical conversations with the brightest minds in Medicare star ratings. I'm your host, Rex Wallace. Today's topic is one that's not getting a lot of airtime, but we think it will. And 2022 might very well be the only year it ever does. When the 2022 stars came out, COVID relief, caused the scores to kind of go through the roof. We've all seen this, right? Where last year, 49% of Medicare Advantage plans achieved 4 stars or higher. This year, 68% of Medicare Advantage plans got 4 stars or higher. Last year, 21 Medicare Advantage plans got 5 stars, and that was the most ever. And this year, that jumped to 74, more than tripled. So, huge movement in the numbers. And where we want to focus today, there are a lot of topics we could talk about around those two numbers alone, right? But, Medicare Advantage plans typically can only grow during AEP in the fall or OEP in the spring, with few exceptions. However, 5-star plans have a special enrollment period. And this has historically not gotten a lot of airtime because there haven't been that many plans that receive 5 stars. But this year, with the number of plans that receive 5 stars and the number of members that have access to a 5-star plan, so just for example, last year, less than 600 counties in the U.S. had a 5-star plan. This year, more than 1,000 more counties, so 1,650-ish counties have a 5-star plan option this year. We think there will be a lot more movement during this 5-star SEP this year, and we really want to dig into that with our co-hosts and some experts. So I'll bring on our co-host, Mick Toomey, who is CEO of Hyperlift, our sponsor. Mick, welcome back.
Thank you, Rex. Happy to be here. And frankly, I'm pretty intrigued by this show. Very interested to see what Shub and Kara have to say. And I think you're right. This is the year for this show. When you look going from 21 to 74, probably back down to 20-something, next year. So if you think about it, any plan out there is 3 times more likely to either be a 5-star plan and now figure out how to benefit from that, or 3 times more likely to now be in competition in market with a 5-star plan, so needs to understand how to defend it. I think we'll have a lot more people talking about this coming up because I think it's going to impact a lot of plans out there.
I totally agree. So let's bring on our guests. So we have Kara Rapaski, who's a partner with McKinsey, who leads their Medicare practice with a focus on stars and quality improvement. Kara has an MBA from Harvard Business School. Kara, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks, Rex.
And then we have Shub Debgupta from Predict Health. So Shub is a CEO and founder of Predict Health. This is a company focused on Medicare member and market analytics, understanding. Predict Health has basically created this huge database of data around every Medicare eligible member and Medicare health plan, and uses those, all of that data to help Medicare plans inform their strategy. So, Shub, welcome back, or welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you, everyone. Nice to be here.
So let's jump right in, because this is an interesting topic. And Kara, let's start with you. So we have all these new 5-star plans, 74, 50 of them, 50-ish of them are brand new. They might never be 5 stars again. I mean, I think if we really, want to say that out loud, I think there's a lot of truth to this, right? This is a unique year. COVID relief allowed a lot more 5-star plans than we've ever seen before, and then we may ever see in the future. So, but these 5-star plans, how can they leverage this new 5-star rating and really grow during this year-round period that only they can leverage?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a lot of excitement around this potential opportunity, not just to grow over the course of the year, but really for these plans to educate members and shoppers out there on why stars really matters. Our research shows that only about 20 to 25% of Medicare Advantage shoppers really even know about the stars program. But when they do, 80% of them will then say that it is a top factor when selecting a plan. So this is the year then that, because there's so many 5-star plans that can, market out to the general populace about their plan offering, about the special enrollment period, about the STARS program, and why people should select them because they're 5 stars. It's really a chance to educate everyone on this quality bonus program and why it's important to think of that when selecting a plan. So I think plans would be wise to do broad general awareness campaigns out in the market to explain to people why they should be thinking and looking for 4 and 5-star plans on an ongoing basis. Additionally, in terms of just growing over the course of this cycle, would recommend that plans continue to leverage their omni-channel marketing and sales strategy approach that they have during AEP. And this provides a really unique opportunity to then test new approaches that they can then use in the upcoming 2023 AEP. So this is a really unique way for them to actually be out in the market and marketing products and different approaches in an appropriate and regulatorily appropriate way. And then lastly, I think we'll get into this in a bit more depth. Outside of just growing for this cycle, those rebate dollars, putting them back in the right way into the appropriate supplemental benefits, that even if plans aren't going to be 5 stars next year and they won't have rebate dollars coming in year over year to the same extent, how do you pick the right supplemental benefits that you could potentially keep in your product offering that actually provide the right level of ROI and improve cost of care that you then can continue offering them even when the rebate dollars start to go away?
Those are great points. And, I hadn't thought as much about the fact that 5-star, the awareness of stars, right, will probably grow during this period throughout the membership throughout the industry, right? Because so many more plans will be educating trying to recruit members and taking advantage of this and touting their star rating as the special enrollment period. So those are great insights.
Which is interesting, actually, if it's going to get a lot more traction this time, considering you've got the 70 that's probably going to go back to 20. So we're going to make a big deal and make everyone know about it. And then a lot of plans could drop out. So it's an interesting thing that it could get more traction, because I think you're right, Rex.
It really is. Shub, what would you add?
Yeah, no, I wanted to highlight a couple of points and building on what Kara said. The special enrollment period really gives organizations a feel for what works in terms of marketing and what the member will respond to, the prospect will respond to. In the past, obviously, you did OEP, AEP, and then OEP, and then you had the 6-month window where you did a lot of testing privately, but never really had a market read. And then world changes. We saw this when COVID hit. The market changes, people's preferences change, their criteria for how they seek out plans and what they look for in plans changes. So now you'll actually have an ongoing pulse of what's happening in your market. And so organizations can not only see what's working in their markets, but if they're entering new markets, it could be they could see from what their nearest competitors are doing and what is resonating. So that gives you a new toolkit, essentially to approach growth. The other point that I wanted to make is you did talk about there are 74 organizations right now with 5-star plans, and next year it'll go down. There's a double whammy. So obviously there's some COVID relief that has extended or made it easier for organizations. I wouldn't say easier, it's always still very hard, but more organizations have bet the bar and have made 5 stars. But the criteria will change next year. As you know, for 2023, there's a change of weighting, there's a change of new focus and prioritization. So within the measures that organizations have so far focused on, what got them to 5 stars in 2022 is going to be different from what's needed to be 5 stars in 2023. So as they think about their rebate dollars, they think about their education dollars and their approach to the market, can they use their time and money to think with the 2023 horizon in mind, the 2024 horizon in mind, where, again, how the stars are going to be calculated as a more technical way is also going to change. So keeping the longer-term horizon in mind, investing for the long term, will pay off for organizations.
Great point. And what got you here won't get you there, right? Like right. Sort of, which means so many things in this conversation, because not only will you not get nearly as much COVID relief in 23 stars as we got in 22. We know we'll get just a little for the HEDIS Haas measures, but that's all that we think we'll get right now. The proposed rule already came out, so I think there's no reason to think there will be anything new other than relief, being able to use better up for those three single weight Haas measures, right? But on top of that, what you just said, the whole calculation changes for 23 stars because of the jump in weight for all of the member experience measures to 4. So yeah, no, it's great insight. And I'm curious, I'm putting myself in the shoes of these new 5-star plans and wanting to leverage this, but there's also, there are some rules that you have to abide by, right? And these plans, most of these plans are not familiar, haven't had to be intimately familiar with these rules on what they can and can't do to market during the 5-star special enrollment period. Kara, what is your advice to plans on what not to do during this period?
I mean, the big one here is that plans are not able to target enrollees in poor performing plans. Not to say that they can't use targeting tactics, trying to find using consumer data who are younger members that might be aging in over the course of the year, finding people that just generally might have higher conditions that would be a potentially better fit for your plan. All of it has to be really in the spirit of thinking through, is your plan going to be a better fit for these members? So definitely should use targeting tactics and analytics to find folks that could be the right fit, that it makes sense for them to be in your plan, but to not actually go out and try to turn people away from low performing plans. That's kind of not the spirit of the STARS program, to really hurt those other plans that are in their own earnest trying to improve. I think that would probably be the biggest piece. And also just making sure that you are not aggressively offering potential new members things that you then can't keep offering in the longer term, because then you yourself will face your own retention and churn issue down the road.
Right.
That last piece that you said, Kara, is because I was thinking about all of these plans that hit 5 stars this year and all the plans that many of them are likely not going to be able to hold on to the 5 stars next year, right? And so are there suggestions that you guys would make to those plans that feel like this could be a 1-year ride? So things that you might encourage another 5-star plan to take advantage of for growth. Anything that you would suggest differently for someone that may not be able to hold on to that 5-star rating next year?
I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing, there's a lot of opportunity to market and try to grow these plans over the course of the year. But for me, if I got those extra rebate dollars as a 5-star plan that I think I wouldn't get again, I would play with my benefits and try to actually find ones and do the analytical rigor behind it to see over the course of the year who is going to be using what benefits in the future, what is the likely utilization, and what are the cost of care improvements, and finding the ones that are going to have the higher ROI in the sense that actually provides for better care and outcomes for your members, and really keep those benefits in. Things that for example, bathroom devices, doesn't sound super exciting, but they are one of the top 7 things that providers recommend upon post-ED discharge. And knowing that there's going to be a measure coming back around post-ED discharge and avoiding readmissions, offering something like this where there is an ROI because it is so effective and it's not something you're going to have to take away in the future. Maybe taking some more stances on product benefits like that maybe you couldn't afford in the past, but because you have this extra rebate this year, you can, and then, actually see them pay off over time and maintain them in the plans.
Yeah, just building on that, actually, you got to think long term. These are you get 1 year. If you think, all right, I'm getting some money this year, the rebate, it's not a huge jump up from the 4.5-star rebate. So there is some money, but it's not a lottery. But we would encourage you, and our data shows you think longer term, because the members do look at longer term trends and they want to see the benefits. So the key way to go back is using analytics, go back to the drawing board, look at your analytics and see what is your market fit, what's your plan member fit, and to your target population, where you want to be in a few years, and build towards that. The bathroom fittings, the bathroom updates is a great example. Not that exciting as a gift card or free rebate, but we see that's already been competed away. Remember, you got to find the the benefit that matches with the population you're targeting or your local market, and build towards that. It doesn't have to be extremely generous as long as you're making incremental progress. And I think you're going to map that out. And that's really key. And then building the education back to the market, just having benefits. So what we've seen is there's a lot of sameness in the market right now. A lot of organizations, first of all, price is no longer much of a competition. 60% of plans are zero cost. 60% of members are in zero cost plans. 90% of members are in markets with zero cost plans and choose when they make their selections. And almost 80 to 85% of plan designs have similar elements. There's really a small number of differentiation in markets. So you got to think about, even within the offerings you have, what differentiates you, how does it resonate with your target audience, and then are you offering it at the right level of generosity that'll create a longer term match? So that's key.
Thank you.
Let's stay on this for a minute, because let's come back to the defensive strategy for 5 stars in a minute. But I want to stick on this for a minute, because even if you zoom out, and what we're talking about right now is how to best leverage these rebate dollars and these quality bonus payment dollars, and we're talking mainly about 5-star plans. But this really applies to anyone who's 4-star or higher, right? Who has kind of newfound quality bonus payment and rebate dollars in their bid. So, what I've seen, is $3 billion is being paid in quality bonus payments and rebates that was not expected. It's all due to this COVID relief or to these increased scores, because 20% more plans achieve 4 stars than they did last year. So, they all are dealing with the same issue, right? Not just the 5-star plans, but anyone who's 4 and above has this newfound money. They might or might not hold on to it next year. There's definitely thought that we're probably not going to have 68% of plans be 4 stars or higher for 23 stars. There's the COVID relief is minimal, and we're going to regress back to the mean. I think so. Assuming that if we expand this conversation to the 4-star plans and not just 5-star, is there anything different you would add for everyone kind of facing this challenge of, we might have money now that we might not have next year, right? So how do we best leverage that?
So one of the ways, one of the things that we've seen, and this is in our data, when you study your employees, you see your interactions, there's a lot of information that you already possess for your existing membership. Every interaction you have with a member, the results of it, and there's data available. In fact, my organization, we track member plan fit, and we also track how members, why members move, and why, whether they move bill from a specific plan, what are the switch criteria, what are the switch triggers, and a lot of detailed data around predictive analytics around why somebody would move. So as an organization, you have the tools available to you to really see where you are in terms of the risk profile. So who your members are, who are at risk, and then what are the criteria, not only the risk of leaving or not, but what are the criteria why, or what are the switch triggers why they would leave. And that's really valuable information. And in your interactions with the member, it reinforces whether you're in a positive trend or actually a negative trend when they will ultimately switch. You can use the time to use the dollars that you have. You can't exactly if you're using the rebates for benefits, but it frees up money for education, for improvement of customer service, member service experience. Really building out what are the criteria that why somebody's at risk, and addressing those root causes. Just to give you an example, with some of the e-brokers. So if you look at some of the more popular channels that people use to buy plans or join plans these days, are some of the e-brokers and e-marketplaces. And different marketplaces specialize in different criteria. They have a different value proposition. I'm not sure if we could use names, but say Select Quote, for example, is great company, amazing volume, and they deliver real impact for their clients. But if you look at their site, and you go on their Medicare site, everything is about cost. they really specialize and focus a lot on price differentiation between plans, and they do attract what we call the price shopper, people who are sensitive to price. Even in their education, their tools that they offer the individual member or prospect, it's all about evaluating cost and look at the impact on somebody's bottom line. So if somebody coming through Select Quote, for example, they would probably be more sensitive to price. And if during the course of the year they have a price shock, it could be a new health experience, it could be a new health issue, they are likely to be movable because they came in with a specific promise and that expectation is not being met. So recognizing those that you're sourcing in a certain way, there's a value proposition you're delivering a certain way, build for the situation that arises. So for a price shopper, can you educate them that of all the other tools that you have, other alternatives, maybe there's a better plan that they are not enrolled in, maybe there's some alternatives that you could develop. So when you have members and you're in a 4.5, 4-star plan, it ties a little bit to the defensive strategy, but also you have an opportunity to really build value in every interaction with your member, and you have the data to actually direct how do you focus, where do you focus, and what do you do. And using that, your time with the member to build that value will pay off in the longer term.
Those are great points. Kara, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say on that point of working with third-party brokers and EMOs, that those can be channels as well that can cause some abrasion in terms of the enrollment and onboarding process. And this goes to both offensive, defensive strategies to keep your members from being stolen during this special enrollment period and OEP generally. But actually then, for members coming in from that channel, the payer doing their own outreach and more concierge onboarding, making sure they are understanding their benefits. If anything has changed year to year in their plan, that they're aware of that as well, so that they don't have a surprise or shock down the road. And also just for the good of the order, staffing up your call center in those first 3 months so that there isn't any kind of disruption or frustration on your new and past members coming in. So again, this can be both a defensive play and also, not just for those coming in from those targeted EMO and third-party channels, but broadly as well, investing those rebate and bonus dollars into a better onboarding and enrollment experience, which then flows through into your CAP scores as well to help you hold on to.
That's great. I feel like there's a ton of insight that's coming out of this. I think for most plans facing different challenges in 2022. One challenge. Let's maybe now drill down. We've touched on this a bit, but the defensive strategy. So, a lot of plans the majority of plans are not 5 stars, but many of them are finding themselves with a 5-star competitor in their backyard for the first time ever with this rise in 5-star plans. So put yourselves in the shoes of those people, right? So I'm a Medicare Advantage plan. I have a new 5-star competitor for the first time, who can now market year round to members in my community. And I guess just let's maybe back up one step here, because I don't think we really clarified the 5-star special enrollment period. It starts on December 8th after AEP ends in 2021. It goes through November 30th of 2022. So it does span throughout OEP and throughout lock-in, and even into the beginning of next AEP. But an important element here is these members can only move one time, right? They can only move one time during that entire period. So if they move during OEP, they can't move again. But they can move to a 5-star plan one time throughout that entire year. Even if their existing plan is a 5-star plan, they can jump from that plan to another 5-star plan. So I didn't think we clarified that, so I just wanted to clarify that before we kind of get deeper. But now, the defensive strategy, you have a 5-star competitor for the first time. So Sheb, let's start with you this time. Like how do you defend against that? So so the defensive strategy is what you would do for normal retention. So really focus on understanding what are the drivers of retention and see where your gaps are or where the opportunities lie, and focus on that. You're building a better value proposition with your members. And so as a defense strategy,
I think do what you do really well, deliver value to the member, and there are certain criteria that recognize that you have opportunities. Your member experience may not be as good as you wanted. Invest in it. What we would also suggest is usually looking at the data of your members to understand their switch triggers. Switching is a predictable aspect. This is a natural behavior. People have natural switch triggers. They may switch for certain reasons, and that is knowable. So if you can identify of your membership, which is a finite number of people in the specific market where you have a 5-star risk, identify who is at risk, what are their switch triggers, and build service and build value to address those. It could be price-sensitive shoppers, as we said, coming in from EMOs and marketplaces. It could be experience, folks who had a terrible experience or didn't feel like the plan was supporting them through their issues as well. That you can see in your data, people calling in. Our data shows that if on average, if a person calls in more than once a month, their risk for lapse actually increases 9x. So you're really going to, it's highly predictable based on the behavior that they're demonstrating. So that's information that's hidden in the data you already have. So unlock it. There are best practices out there. Organizations can help you do that. And you'll know where your risk lies and be able to address it. So that's what we would recommend.
Kara.
And in addition to that, during kind of the concierge support and outreach for improved onboarding and enrollment experience, doing as much as possible to increase the stickiness and the ease of doing business with your plan. Make it as seamless as possible for people to stay in throughout the year. Get them enrolled in your wellness and benefits program or any reward and incentive programs. Help them make an online account. Get them set up for text messages, for reminders for their appointments and things like that. Schedule their first appointment for them. There's all these potential synergies as well in terms of helping improve risk coding accuracy and better cost of care management and wellness programs. So kind of, really stepping back and thinking through how do we link this all together to improve stickiness and also improve all of the member experiences and care outcomes throughout the duration of the plan, to keep them in for the full year until the SEP is over. And then, ideally re-enroll them into the plan for next year as well.
Well, we studied sort of the triggers and why people would lapse, and what we found is getting people into the right plan. Just you sell it well, you get the right people into the right plan. That's about just a third of the probability of somebody lapsing. It's a third of the value. The rest of what you do, your onboarding, as Kara, you say, your enrollment, signing the forms, getting people off to the right start, making sure that their cards are right and the information there is correct, doctors get transferred, then accessing care. That's about 70% of the impact of why somebody would leave or stay with you. So you really have a lot of opportunity and interaction to create that value. And the other thing that we've seen is people join for certain reasons, and they're not aware of all the offerings you have. People have like tens of different supplemental benefits that people aren't aware of. So it's your time to really educate folks, because the reason they join, the reason they stay are different. And so you really want to use the time to educate them. And it's an opportunity, thinking on how you onboard, how you enroll folks, how providers interact with a member. That's a big deal. What kind of supplemental information, your follow-up, your concierge service, your high touch. Those are tools that you have that you can use to really bring people along and build that value across the year.
And those switch triggers, all of the things that you both are talking about, the important things that we need to be doing, those are, obviously things that prevent disenrollment or they cause attractiveness and make someone want to come to you. They also are major stars impactors, right? From the CAHPS survey, from disenrollment, from complaints. If we think about, switch triggers like customer service, like how much effort does it take? And Shub, I've learned a lot of this from a lot of your studies, but around how much effort does it take to to get your question answered with customer service, right? Is there a long hold time? Are they understaffed? Are they not? Did they not forecast appropriately during AEP? And now the member's got to be on hold for a long time. I mean, that's a major switch trigger, right? For most all of us when we're dealing with a company, and it's arguably never been more important than these next 3 months, and even throughout the year for these, if you have a 5-star competitor or if you're a 5-star plan. But that, and then access to care, and same thing as far as, if you are, it drives CAPS responses, obviously CAPS scores, but it's a major switch trigger. If I'm trying to if I just joined a plan, I'm trying to, schedule an appointment for a wellness visit, an AWV, and I can't get in because the network's not big enough, or it's just not enough capacity, or I can't find the right provider, the provider directory is not accurate, or it's or it's too hard to navigate. I mean, all of those things are going to make me more likely to switch. And not only are all these switch triggers so important right now, but there are fewer switch barriers right now, right? With this 5-star SEP, now we have more options to, even during lock-in. If I didn't make a change during OEP, I can probably still make a change because 30 million Medicare beneficiaries have access to a 5-star plan now. So, I mean, I'll probably have one. I mean, I know I have several in my county, right where I live, in my zip codes. But so, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of everything you two have said is so important to understand who's movable and to address all of those triggers and barriers.
That's a great point, Rex. The ease of switching is actually you cannot deny it. It's so much easier to switch, and the experience is so much better than it was in the past. You go on, and you're talking about SelectQuote, you take any of the e-brokers. It's now almost Amazon-like. It's one click and done. It's very close to that. It's not exactly the same, but it's transparent. It gives you information, and people can navigate. People feel in control. It really addresses and provides an alternative to what was traditionally a single approach or a limited set of approaches. So we see if people are unhappy or they have a reason to switch, the market has changed. And recognizing that it is so much more effortless to switch than it was in the past is going to make this this SEP or 2022 a very unusual year. Not only the fact that there are more plans was 5 stars, but in the past, if you look at traditional numbers, there has been switching that happens during the 4 to 5-star plans SEP. But now I think the market and the tools are much more comprehensive, better experiences, and easily accessible. So you'll see an uptick in the number of people switching for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be potentially eye-opening to a lot of plans who haven't really had to face this in the past. You haven't had a 5-star competitor in your market. It hasn't been necessarily as easy as it is now. But like with what you're saying, Shub, and the stuff that Kara has mentioned, it's this perfect storm where we have this 1 year, right, where it's very simple to do and the opportunities abound. And as you said, like some of what I really enjoyed was some of the tactical steps, because we still have 80+% of the plans out there. They're not 5 stars and are likely going to have to face these things. And so looking at, monitoring these calls, how many times are these people calling in, looking at the education that's possible, but giving them these tactical things to apply to what I believe is something that's probably not going to really surface for a handful of months before some of these plans actually start feeling the impact of this reality.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Anything we should have asked that we didn't? We should have discussed that we didn't today. The most important elements of this, pretty unique problem.
The one piece I want to add is that the increasing competition as well. So we see across all markets, so 5-star notwithstanding, you have to worry about the new entries as well, and they don't have stars. So initially, when you enter a new market, new plans and growth mode tend to have a much more aggressive pricing, plan offerings. So you're really looking at it from both sides. You have, this is probably more OEP. They don't have the advantage of SEP, these new plans, but competition is increasing. And you think of, you've got to think beyond just 2022, because these plans are here to stay. So your market is changing, and you need to think about it's not only this year's SEP I need to protect folks, but really you're building value for your target population over time. That's the mindset that we feel like is the best for longer term.
Yeah, exactly. And I would just add, there's a lot of excitement around the idea and ability to be able to market year round and try to grow your 5-star plan. But at the end of the day, as much attention, if not more, should really be focused on the underlying structural performance of your plan. High growth plans also tend to do a bit worse on stars on things like caps. You really have to kind of balance all of that and really think through how do you get the right members in the right plans, embrace them, make them happy, give them the care and coverage they need, and keep them in the plan over time versus just trying to go and grow and then potentially have massive disruption next year due to all the increased competition, as was just mentioned. So.
Great point. Okay. Well, hey, thanks so much. That was a great conversation. So as we wrap, we like to allow each of you to, so Kara, take a second here, and for our listeners, how can they follow you? How can they learn more about kind of what's going on with McKinsey, with Kara? Anything you'd want to promote? LinkedIn or website or anything like that?
I've never been asked that before. No, I'm on LinkedIn, and I would encourage everyone to take a look at some of the publications we have on McKinsey on healthcare. We have a lot of recent articles on Medicare specifically and the growth and the changes and implications for stars. So I would encourage folks to take.
Yeah, I read several of them especially when the stars come out. You guys, you publish some great stuff. So, Shub, same question for you. How can people kind of keep up with you?
Yes, so we're on predicthealth.ai. That's our URL, but my organization publishes and creates events around insights on what members are, what switch triggers, who's moving, why they're moving, and how organizations can leverage that information to help them grow and improve their quality. And this is something that we do for all plans. It's Medicare, special needs plans, duals, lots of opportunity. And we're seeing real excitement in the marketplace from plans and payers, but also interest in changing buying behaviors from members, and we track that very carefully. So this is really a unique time for growth across all aspects of this business. And Kara, we do refer to some of the research that you put out also in our work. So this is great. Thank you.
So thanks so much, so Kara. Thanks for joining us. Shub, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate all the insights in the conversation today.
Absolutely.
Mick, as always, thanks for being the co-host and for Hopperlift sponsorship. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Rex.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk next time. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.